All right, I'm Maggie O'Brien,
I'm Sarena Toback.
and our project is differences between organizational behavior in Italy and the United States.
So a little bit about us. We're both business administration majors. I have a minor in marketing and Maggie has a minor in biology. We both studied abroad in Florence this past semester. So we're really comparing the principles of organizational behavior based on our experiences.
Globalization in the United States. Globalization is the process by which people or organizations integrate, behave internationally throughout the global economy. Globalization is driven by increased technology and internet and the need of a willing buyer and seller. Today, many large US corporations conduct business throughout the world, and many choose to outsource their production of products to developing countries. This is beneficial to the manufacturer because it allows for an increase in quantity and a decrease in production costs, and therefore a decrease in retail price, which is beneficial to the consumer.
So it's really common in the US to outsource their products just because it's cheaper and they can make more. But in Italy, they actually try to keep all manufacturing within the country so that they can use the Made in Italy label. So the Made in Italy label is based on creativity and matched with quality and design. And this distinguishes the highest quality of Italian products. So it started in 1980 and it's now globally recognized as a product category. Due to forgeries of this label, though, in 2009, the Italian law stated that only products planned, manufactured, and packaged in Italy can use the label, and it's punishable by law if you break this. So there's pictures
So
of cars.
everything that I see with that when I'm in Italy, everything that says made in Italy is made in Italy. I
Yeah,
never fully understood that. Huh. I
yeah. So
always
that's
questioned it.
yeah. They'll have to pay like a huge fine or or have to close down shop if they're forging the label.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are all products that were made in Italy. This is a Ferrari, a leather bag, DOCG wine, and basically all the objects that you see on the streets of Italy are usually made in Italy.
Did you buy any purses or leather goods when you were there?
Yeah, we bought a lot of
Yes,
leather stuff.
definitely
Okay.
took advantage. All right, so last semester, Serena and I took an intro to marketing course and participated in an experiential learning semester project in which we met with Italian entrepreneur and creator of Joss Luggage, Massimo, to discuss potential marketing strategies and the production process. Joss Luggage is a smart carry-on suitcase with a tablet, tracker, fingerprint scanner, and charger. The mission statement is for business travelers to stay connected, keep their possessions safe, and easily communicate with partners while traveling around the world.
So I can charge up on my luggage?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Oh, wow. And then I don't have to open my suitcase to take out the tablet?
yeah,
No.
which is supposed to be good for going through security.
Wow.
So this product is still being planned and manufactured. So we were really with him throughout his whole planning phase. So during that, he encountered a lot of issues, mainly around production cost, retail price, and his target market. So his original plan was to outsource production to China so that it would be cheaper. But when he went to China and met with the manufacturer, it actually turned out to be just as expensive because of the lack of the current market for smart luggage and knowledge. So
Hmm.
since it's gonna result in a higher retail price for the consumer, he realized that he had to change his market. So instead of targeting the everyday traveler, he's now targeting wealthier business people. And he decided to make this a made in Italy product so that it would have the made in Italy appeal. And even though it was going to be more expensive, he could guarantee good quality because it was made in Italy.
So, like Serena mentioned, Joss Luggage had several issues with production cost and retail price. So, we suggested that he try segmenting his target market. We suggested that he consider geographic segmentation, so producing the product just in Europe or just in the United States. European travelers tend to travel between different countries more frequently, and this means that the smart luggage that they take between those countries has to fit more codes of regulation and guidelines. And additionally, making an instruction manual for a European luggage would mean that it would have to be produced in every European language, meaning it would be more expensive. Whereas if he marketed his product for the United States, travel within the US is domestic, meaning that regulations are standard across the board and means that the smart luggage would only have to fit one set of regulations. Additionally, the US instruction manual would only use two languages, English and Spanish, which would again cut costs. The competitive advantage of the Joss luggage is that it's a better product at a premium price because it's a made in Italy product. It has specialization through a differentiation strategy, and the differentiation strategy that it uses is that Joss Smart Luggage has customizable smart features compared to a regular suitcase or other smart luggages, so the consumer can choose which smart features they want or which smart features they don't. They can do like a GPS tracker, or there's Wi-Fi accessibility, so there's a bunch of different options.
So to touch on the Italian lifestyle a little bit, and how it's different, Italian culture places a large emphasis on taking time off to spend time with friends and family. So during the day, there's usually a 2 to 3 hour break right in the middle where everyone who is working can take time off, relax, get lunch. And then also during this time of the year, most Italians have about 2 to 4 weeks off where they can travel and do whatever they really want. Tourism in Italy has a huge impact. Some positive effects for business is really responsible for keeping small businesses alive. They want the made in Italy products, the food, and the wine. And it's also hugely responsible for all the success of Airbnbs. In Florence alone, 20% of the housing stock is Airbnbs right now. But some negative effects of the tourism is that there's a lot of overcrowding wherever you go. There's hundreds of people that you have to push through to get anywhere. So because of this, local Italians are moving outside of the city center. So what they're doing is they're actually keeping their apartments and they're putting them on the Airbnb website, and then they're getting separate homes outside of the city center. And then pollution, as well as tourist disrespect of Italian art and architecture. So some examples of this, because this is happening, laws have been put in place. You're not allowed to sit on Spanish steps, you can't swim in the Trevi Fountain, and you can't take any material off the Colosseum. Also, one other important thing that you should take into consideration if you're meeting an Italian client for dinner or any other meal is that meals are really important to them and a huge part of their culture. On average, if you're having dinner with them, it usually takes place after 7 and it lasts around 2 hours. And to them, it's relaxing, getting to know each other, talking about your day. And then one of the most important things to them is actually pairing food and wine. They take a lot of pride in this and do it for every meal. And then also just healthy lifestyle through the Mediterranean diet.
Now, when you came back to the U.S. after just sort of a slower pace for eating, did you find when you went out or with family that they're going too fast?
It was definitely an adjustment, just waiting, especially after the meal. Like they'll bring the check right away, whereas in Italy, you actually have to ask them to bring the check because it's considered rude if they bring the check if you're not done.
Right. Right.
But that was like the main adjustment.
All right, so the majority of shops and businesses in Italy are mom and pop shops, meaning that they're family owned. And this has both positive and negative effects for the Italians. The shops in Italy are more concerned with quality than price and quantity, and this is beneficial to the consumer, but it doesn't make the business or shop the most amount of profit. These shops make everything themselves, jewelry, clothing, and wine. And again, it has the made in Italy appeal because everything's made by the mom and pop shop, so it has a higher quality. Businesses tend to stay in the family, which means that there's a lack of job mobility for Italian workers. So Italians enter the workplace and they kind of know where they stand in life and in work. There's not a lot of room for advancement, but they're okay with that. And then this is extremely different from America, where we are expected to get an education, move up into a high-functioning company, and to be able to move up and advance once we are in that company.
Okay, so our personal takeaway and impact as we enter the workforce, some of the main factors that affected us just from being in Italy for such a long time is that we have a renewed comfort with people from other cultures and an understanding of a different lifestyle. It's important to consider that we grew up in one way, and to us that seems like the correct way of living, but in other countries they have different norms and a way of life. So to them, our way of life is wrong and theirs is right. So it's just important to consider both perspectives and be open to all ideas. Since the marketplace is becoming global right now, it's really important to understand international business and be able to travel if we were asked to. So if Maggie and I were asked to travel for business, we would feel comfortable doing so, as well as be understanding and open to people who aren't necessarily fluent in English. And then one of the last things that we'll touch on that we took away from this is if you're doing business with a culture, it's really important to consider if they're a low culture context or a high context culture.
What does that mean?
So low context cultures communicate, when they communicate, it's very direct. They communicate through language and what they're saying is explicit and you'll know what they mean right after having a conversation with them. High context cultures, it's more indirect and they're using contextual elements to communicate like body language or tone of voice rather than directly saying what they want. So the United States is a low context culture. Italy is actually right in the middle. And then high context cultures include countries like China and Japan. So one example, if you're interacting with somebody from Japan, they actually will never introduce themselves to you. You have to introduce yourselves to them because they don't want to assume your position in the company.
Ah.
And that is all we have.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing. I think it's an experience everybody should have. What made you want to study abroad?
For me, oh, sorry, you go first.
Oh, okay. I wanted to study abroad because I grew up as a military child, so I was used to moving around. So I like to get to know a new place, get to know different people, and studying abroad was a great experience for that. And it also really just opened the world, which kind of sounds cliche, but it really is so easy to travel, especially in today's day and age. And it was cool to be able to have to figure out how, like, I wanted to do a trip on the weekend, and I think it was just extremely beneficial to experience so many different cultures.
Yeah, a lot of the same. For me, though, most of my trips never really went above 2 weeks. So I never been in a place for a long period of time. And I definitely wanted to experience another culture and see how I could adapt to another way of life by being there for such a long period of time.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.